So we're going to talk about it. We are here today. I'm going to try to come on for a little while, see what we're going to be talking about. Give me a minute to get everything cranked up. I know it's been a minute, and I want to get everything straight. Okay, let me get everything straight. Got to get all this stuff together. Time may take a minute, so hope everybody doing good. Hope everybody having a nice day. Hope we're doing good. Hope we're doing good. Hope we're doing good. I'm trying to see what I can put as a question. Hope we're doing good. Hope we're doing good. I'm trying to see what I can put as a question. Hope we're doing good. Wait till people come in here and then we can have a topic. Because I got a few things I want to talk about, but wait till people come in here and then we can have a topic. Because I got a few things I want to talk about, but wait till people come in here and then we can have a topic. Because I got a few things I want to talk about, but wait till people come in here and then we can have a topic. Because I got a few things I want to talk about. Okay. So I just got through putting the poll question up. And you know what Donald Trump is up to in the martial law and what he was going to do. So I just got through putting the poll question up. You know. We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. He's trying to distract from the Epstein, so he figures that he got to go do what he got to do. So it's no shock or surprise. He's trying to distract from the Epstein, so he figures that he got to go do what he got to do. So it's no shock or surprise. Figures that he gotta go do what he gotta do. So it's no shock or surprise. What's happening? How you doing? Yeah, you can sub. How you doing? Yeah, you can sub. If you came on and you want to join, feel free. By all means. If you know where you are and you like what you see, channel wise, and you like subject matter, feel free. By all means. If you know where you are and you like what you see, channel wise, and you like subject matter, feel free. I appreciate anybody that wants to sign up and okay, is AJ Ty? Let me see. Ajay Ty. Let me see. I'll look yours up. I'll look yours up at the. Is AJ Ty? Let me see. Okay. Ajay Ty. Let me see. I'll look yours up. After I'm done, I'll find your channel on YouTube and I'll hit you up too. What's happening? How you doing? After I'm done, I'll find your channel on YouTube and I'll hit you up too. Hello, how you doing? Everybody that, yeah, I will. By all means, appreciate you coming through. Anybody that wants to come through, and if you got a channel, I'll hit you on the back too. And if you want to spread the word about the channel, feel free, as I'll spread the word about your channel. I'll hit you on the back too. And if you want to spread the word about the channel, feel free, as I'll spread the word about your channel. Because one back scratches the other. Because one back scratches the other. And we're content creators and we have to look out for one another. And we're content creators and we have to look out for one another. So I'm always trying to push the best for anybody that comes through, and likewise, I hope. So I'm always trying to push the best for anybody that comes through, and likewise, I hope. And we know that we're dealing with some elements, so. And we know that we're dealing with some elements, so. Sending out my notices. You do know, kaboom, that this is a distraction for the Epstein files. You do know that, right? This ain't got nothing to do with all that. They ain't got nothing to do with all that. You do know that Giselle Maxwell is walking in a community-free federal cupcake prison tied to Trump. You do know that, right? It's called distractions. The crime is actually down. The crime is actually down, genius. The crime is actually down. The crime is actually down, genius. Since 2023 in DC. This is a distraction. You're not on the subject matter. Are you sure you're in the right form, or you just want to argue to hear yourself argue? Because he's got that Giselle Maxwell Epstein files thing, and he's trying everything to distract. So he don't have to answer the questions. You want to talk about answering the questions? Won't you ask him to answer about the Epstein files? Why his name is all over it, and why Virginia Gunner, who passed away, the young woman who passed away this year, her parents or people were tied to it. So explain it. You're not asking nothing because you can't answer because you ain't that literal to understand that he's using a distraction. The crime is not up no more than it ever was up. He's using a distraction and you don't want to answer it. You must be wearing a MAGA hat. Because in people who know that this is a distraction, that's all it is. It's fancy. It's fancy. He's trying to target black people and he's using it as a means to distract. As usual. As usual. And so when people don't understand, they don't want to understand. It's not about they don't understand. They want to be difficult and say, yeah, not hold him accountable. He ain't solving nothing. You should know what you're talking about because you obviously don't. Neither one of you cats know what y'all talking about. If this was all about so-called justice, then what about the insurrection in 2021, which he authorized with his hand and put his vice president's being at stake? So don't come at me with that. Y'all don't want to justify it. Y'all know good and well that he manipulated the situation and got y'all distracted as usual because you're gullible for him as usual. And you won't come up here and argue as usual because y'all know good and well that he's tied to a ring. Well, you can go. I don't need you on my channel. So you can go. You can go. Bye. Evidence is on all the people who lie and don't acknowledge the fact of what's going on. Don't nobody coming on here who ain't gonna have a real healthy conversation about the facts. That the guy broke laws, lied about stuff, and he's trying to manipulate the situation. And he had an insurrection. And where was the outcry with the National Guard there? Yeah. So I don't be dealing with no idiots that's gonna come here and just gonna be saying stupid stuff. Cause see, if you're gonna do that, you know, we gonna have problems. And I'm not gonna be justifying this mess. I know the place gets real quiet. Place gets real quiet when you don't let trolls come in. And when you ain't got no trolls, they got nothing else to do. So So I see they all gone now. So that's how where I stand with it. And if people don't like it, then this ain't the place for you. I think that people with common sense are gonna see that what he's doing to manipulate. He ain't no National Guards during the insurrection.
He ain't no National Guards during the insurrection.
And he's always just trying to justify a means to
And he's always just trying to justify means to
scare tactics and bully tactics. That's all he's got.
scare tactics and bully tactics. That's all he's got.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
Anyway, I'm gonna be here for a little while, just see if anybody comes through.
I'm gonna be here for a little while, just see if anybody comes through.
And we can have some civilized conversation. I'm on here live today.
Civilized conversation. I'm on here live today.
Hey, yeah, glad you did. I just got everything straight, so yeah.
I just got everything straight.
I was gonna send you a note as I just got your note still sitting on my box. So yes, I'm on early today. I think I'll be on for at least an hour, working on a few videos. I had a few things to do. Appreciate to see you. It's been a minute.
Appreciate to see you. It's been a minute.
So let's holler. Got a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Let's get them.
Let's get them.
Because since I just got you here and that's all I need, tell us somebody else shows up, I'm good. You give me one good, legit person, that's all I need. I don't mind others coming through, and I welcome a plenty. People be listening and watching, but the ones who want to talk, I'm ready. You know how I am. If it's one person, I treat it like it's 100. And in 100, I treat it like 1,000, meaning that I make it all count. So if you talk, we'll talk. If you don't talk, I gotta stroll. But I didn't put out the feelers that I'm gonna be on today, so we'll see. So get your questions lined up. Let's go.
Let's go.
I can't really speak on something that I don't know all the ramifications because this is why I separate the art from the person. Exactly. Oh, she was a very tragic figure. Let me tell you something. Is she in a fair world? She'd have been 3 times bigger than Marilyn Monroe. She could act. She really hasn't been. She's been imitated, but never. No one can ever get her right. Janet Jackson and Halle Berry tried. They couldn't get her right. She was one of one, and she had the presence. She had the on-screen presence with Helen Belafonte. I can't. The only thing I can ever tell you about the Nicholas brothers, of course they did. Black folks have been copied forever and a day. But, all that I can tell you about the Nicholas brothers, they were some of the baddest, dappest dancers I've ever seen in my life. Those cats could fly. I can't say nothing about nobody's personal life. I don't know. And it could have been for any number of reasons. I don't know. Because that sounds like a personal issue there. I don't know. That's why I don't really talk about, when I talk about people, I talk about what's presented, but that was way before my time, and I can't say. All I know is she got done in just a lot. Yeah, my Monroe was like a sponge of everything, black and white. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of different ones you can debate. I mean, you can put Sammy Davis Jr. in there. You can put Bill Robinson in there. I mean, there's a lot of great, you know. But they were bad though. The Nicholas brothers were some bad cats. They were bad. And the cat used to be in movies. I still remember Uptown Saturday Night and also the Five Heartbeats. And also in Taps. Bad brother. But Gregory Hines in there too. That's bad. Savon Glove. A lot of bad dancers. So it's all a matter what your choice is. But I don't know about what the choices was with the personal life. I can't speak on something I don't know. I know that back in the day that was like a big taboo, whereas that ain't nothing now. But back in the day, because now they track you now and they make you pay or something go there. Back then, you could go 25 years incognito. Nobody would know where you was, so I don't know. Well, you do. You're basically saying the same thing because if you commit one thing and you think accidentally one the same, I like to think someone took her out. She knew too much. That's the conspiracy theorist in me. I think she was deeper than they didn't want, and she was a threat. They pushed Monroe, they pushed Jane Mansfield. I mean, they took them out too, but that's after the fact. But she was one of one. Even if I'm lying, I'm buying. Because what other black female actress came along until you get to Cicely Tyson that blew up? I think they both got took out. Oh, Dorothy too. Oh yeah. Depression seeks in, and then you really don't have anything, and you never know what she could have said or what was on. I wouldn't be surprised. This is Hollywood we're talking about. And I'm gonna tell you like I know. Most people who transition at a certain age in that industry, I'm not buying that it was natural causes. I'm gonna leave it at that. Because that's how I think and that's how I look at stuff. Things ain't always what you think they is. I was watching that corny Whitney Houston movie the other night, and they glossed that ending pathetically. Not buying it. After what I saw with Tupac and Biggie, I can never believe anything that they actually say until you can see it up close and personal without something going on, because there's something that's a trade off. And there is trade offs. Oh, nobody black. Let me say it like this: nobody black. I want to say if I go by nobody black, I would say, I think maybe in the last 20 years, you might could say they're starting to get a balance too. Nobody that came out from the 90s on back got a fair due. Let me say it like that. That was big because there was double standards. Pearl Bailey was Latifah before Latifah and more talented too. And so good and well, if you ask me about anybody that's a black entertainer from 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, up to the 90s, I'm going to tell you they didn't get a fair balance because the system has been rigged against. And it depends on who you ask me about, but especially old school black acts, no, they didn't get no fair due. Mm-mm. Because if they had to perform in the 30s, 40s, 50s, into the 60s, they sure as heck weren't going to get the fair shake. And by the time they got halfway a fair shake, they were older. So no, ain't no fair there. They don't be fair. They be square, but they don't be fair. Let me see. You already asked me that one, and again, that's not a fair comparison. They worked together and they were cool, but Belafonte was a more all around entertainer than Sydney because Harry sung along with acting, so he had the musical thing. So that's not really a fair. I can't now. If Sidney Poitier was a singer, then we could have a fair comparison. Can't really compare the two. That's not fair. You asked me who had more presence on the big screen, it's Sidney Poitier. You asked me who had all around flavor, it's Harry Belafonte. That's not a fair. let me ask you, who would you say? See, again, that's a very loaded topic because Belafonte is no longer here, and we have Denzel. Denzel's got those Oscars and acting prestiges, but he benefited from Harry Belafonte breaking doors and barriers. So that's kind of a tricky question, if you understand what I'm saying. Because I can't really say who left a greater legacy because Denzel is still very much alive. Harry Belafonte, but didn't have the same opportunities as Denzel. Now, it all depends on what your criteria is. If you ask me, okay, if you ask me who did more, where I'm looking at the inside out, it's Belafonte because he was walking for the civil rights movements and what he represented. Denzel does things too, but Harry Belafonte was like almost like a spokesperson. So Denzel is, it's like he's a brother, but he's almost non-political. It's an interesting flip, despite playing Malcolm X and the different things he's done, and he does, but he really don't really get that veer with him. You don't really leer in, you don't let you leer in with that. That's a different hit. If that makes sense to you. So I can't really answer that one. Okay, let's get some comments going because I am ready. Let's get some comments going.
Let's get some comments going.
I gotta put the echo on.
I gotta put the echo on.
I know ain't gonna be a lot of people coming through, and
I
sometimes
know
because
ain't
I
gonna be a
haven't
lot
been
of people
coming
coming
through,
through.
I will be by
Sometimes because I haven't
tomorrow.
been coming through. I will be by
Oh
tomorrow.
Lord.
Oh
What's the question?
Lord.
What's the question with these two turkeys?
What's the question? What's the question with these two turkeys?
Who's more phonier?
Who's more phonier?
But I will use this for a future one though.
But I will use this for a future one though.
Oh, Bill O'Reilly.
Oh, Bill O'Reilly.
That's not up for discussion
That's not up for discussion
because
because
just his takes on hip hop.
just his takes on hip
When
hop.
he used to be on his show,
When he
quoting
used to be on his show,
quoting Ludacris and Nas and them.
quoting Ludacris and Nas.
And remember, his journalist career started on what was it, Inside Edition and all that. So he had a earlier platform, and then when he got to Fox, in fact, he's Piers Morgan's daddy. So Piers Morgan is a double Junior Whopper version of Bill O'Reilly. If you want to know the truth, so yeah, that's a good question though. That's a good question, and I'll use it for a future one. In regards to what? Ed Sullivan and Don Cornelius in regards to what? Who had more impact on it as a host? I'll use this though as a question though. It's kind of odd, but then it kind of works though. Um, as a host, I got to go with Don. Ed Sullivan was like, he had that real crack me up stoic thing going, but Don had a certain persona about him. Don had personality about him for host. I'll use it. But if you could play Sullivan, you were big. That was the golden ticket. He carried crazy weight. So they both carry weight in different ways. I think Cornelius had better hosting skills, but Sullivan didn't have to do nothing because he had the right persona in the right place, the right complexion, the right time. So if you did the Ed Sullivan show, that's a good question you asked though. I never even thought about that. You know, Sullivan had a way of introducing Jackson Fives, James Brown. He was a gateway, but the thing about it is it was limited. What's up? What's up, TSP? What's up in the hairs? Thank you for coming through. You've been tearing that Instagram up. I be seeing your clips up there. You tearing it up. I'm proud of you. You got all kinds of clips. Arsenio for me, because Arsenio had more personality. He wasn't the best interview, but he had more personality. Jay Leno fit real good with the Tonight Show, though. Fit real good. I'll use that one though for a future though. You gave me an idea though. I might do those tonight after I hang up here. I'll use that tonight. Letterman had more personality, but I understood why Leno got the Tonight gig. He actually fit. He fit. Letterman had his whole ideology. He was probably a better host, but Leno fit the Tonight Show. Somehow it worked. Don't ask me why and how, because I think he's kind of corny and a bit much. But his personality kind of blended better. Letterman would have made it into something completely different. So his personalities make a difference, you know. And Letterman was set to take over for Johnny Carson too. Make no mistake about it. He was the heir apparent, but Leno somehow it worked. But and it's strange too, because I think Letterman was better. However, Leno fit. So if that makes any sense to logic, let me know. That was pretty strange. But anyway, TSP was hollering. She was shaking. Feel like saying something, crack it. Mike Tyson, come on now. Gary Coleman never cursed you out or act like he was going to go upside your head. Mike be rolling them eyes like he could go off at any moment. That's not really a fair comparison because uh, Gary still has some restraint. But Mike Tyson, yeah, you see the wrong thing. Difference between putting in your place and like I'm going to give you a 2-piece Will Smith sandwich, though. Big difference. Because Mike curse you out and go upside your head and pull it in. Gary never was going to act like that. And you never know what Mike Tyson might say, too. Because I remember he interviewed that little girl when he interviewed her and had her all scared. He said, you die, you become sad and you just vanish away. Nobody cares. He says some raw stuff. That's not going to comparison. Now, I love his interviews. But he, no. Gary was a pro, though. And he had to learn to be because of what he went through. He got pimped by his parents, so bless his soul. And the wife pimped him too, so bless his soul. What he done this time, because I ain't heard no more exercise the gambling, but what he done this time. I'll tell you one thing, if he wasn't as great as he was, him and his interpreter would probably be deported or be ICE would come knock on their door. What he done this time? Some more gambling? Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. I know they swept the other thing under the carpet and he got married off real quick and he moved across town from the Angels to the Dodgers. So, they're going to try to keep things. Who knows what's up with him? I don't know. But, hey, that's what they sell you on, though. That's what they sell you on. And he knows his worth. As far as what? Three's Company versus Facts of Life, as far as what? For me, it was Three's Company until they got rid of uh Cindy. If the Mariners don't get a piece of them, they got a good chance. They got a good chance. They looking good right now. Them, Milwaukee, and Seattle are like the three hottest teams I've seen. We'll see. I can't really forecast who's going to win this year because it's wide open. This is probably one of the most wide open baseball seasons I've seen. You know, the Yankees ain't gonna be there. But anyway, I have to tell this story. It's a tough baseball year for me. I have to get ready for the Bills and football because my baseball season is over. I'm like Vince Carter. It's over. It's not coming back. Ranch. Got to be very careful with the kind of cheese and stuff. So it's ranch. Interesting question that you asked coming out the blue. Now, hello, how you doing, Bo? And I don't have vegan wings like that often. It's very rare. Problem child, I would say. It depends on what movie we talking about, cause Bebe's Kids. I mean, it all depends on what your criteria, Charlene. I have to think about that one. Problem child. He just was lost on Home Alone. Celery more, but I do eat more carrots though. I like cooked carrots, but I do like my celery. I also like celery though. It's just gotta be fresh. It's one of those things that I like to dip. TSP talking about. I know what you talking about, TSP. Yeah, sometimes. It depends. It's been a minute though. I have lettuce with my veggie with my uh veggie or my vegan slices sometimes. It's been a while though. I do like them though. I eat different in the summertime, so that could be more or less. Wow. I didn't find Macaulay Culkin to be no problem in none of his movies per se. Mm, that's a whole different era too, because his brother came along and got an Oscar and all that. It's crazy. All right, let's get some questions going. Let's see what we are here. I mess with almond milk, but I mess with soy milk more though for my cereal. Not really big on almond milk, but more like soy. That's a tricky question about Eminem. Cause I mean, the one where he dissed Michael Jackson was pretty. You know, do you know which one was in attendance? I'll take a wild, uneducated guess. I'm either gonna say Jerry West. I either say Jerry West, or I'd say That's a tricky one because this is Jerry West for me or Kareem. That's on two I could say. I have no idea on that one. Okay. See, I got the second one. Okay, so I said West or Kareem. That's the only two I could think of that would make sense to me. Okay. At least you gave me two chances. That's it, because I was only two that's gonna come to mind. It's only two people I could think of. And I know the logo was always around something, and Kareem makes somehow I thought about it. So no. Good question though. Now we're getting quite a few of the poll. I guess a lot of people think we need some National Guards. I don't know. What's up, Jay Will? What's happening? Thank you for coming through. Been a long time. I know you got questions. We should have a nice fiery debate. Pretty much. I think so. Cat calling. I guess you never know how people be lurking because I have a lot of people be on here watching. They just don't always make themselves present. But yeah, I wasn't on yesterday. I was out and about, but I'm on today and I'll be on tomorrow. And then after that, probably Saturday. So if you want to holler, this is the time, and tomorrow is the time. So let's make it count. Know you got comments. Water, bottled water. Now, only when I go to church. Don't even mess with it at home. Yeah. Oh, okay, son. Okay. I know I was on here Saturday or Friday. One of them days. I forgot. It was on the weekend. Now, I don't really mess with it unless I go to church. Ironically, I don't mess with drinks when it's only water at the crib. And sometimes I fast. So, like today, I'm fasting. Nobody. Just that kicker for Jacksonville made that long kick. I don't get excited about preseason. There's players I might notice. That's what it's about. I don't get excited because they don't really count. Oh, he's a big time Michael Jackson fan, but I don't find nothing funny about it. I found it repulsive. Artists don't diss other artists, especially ones that don't counter them. But Michael Jackson countered him with the best way Michael Jackson knows how to. He hit him in his pockets. The oldest way I always say, pay back some other, hit the pockets. Bought his publishing. That's the most gangsterous thing you could ever do. So you want to be funny? I'm going to be funnier. Pay me. That was a mob move if there ever was one. He looked good. I said like as a player. I did a video about Shador. He looked good. Looked very poised. For right now, 2020, Giannis is in there. Jokic is in there. Shea Alexander's in there. Jason Tatum's in there. That's four. And I'm talking about 2020. I ain't talking about before that. Curry's era is not the now. That's why. I'm not talking about, you said 2020. You didn't say 2010. You didn't say 20. You said 2020. 2020, SGA will be there. The guy that had 3 straight years of 30 and 5, finals MVP, league MVP, Wisconsin MVP. Right now, yes. Who do you think will win a championship out of SGA and Curry if I asked you right now on the spot with the team that they got as a symbol? And that don't mean that I don't, That's why I didn't want to say TSP. You read my mind. I was like, who is going to be my fifth one? I was like, who going to be my? I said, I guess I got to say it. I don't want to say it because Laker fans be like, you. I'm going by 2020. We're going to last 5 years. SGA, Giannis, Jokic, and anybody else? Yeah. Aside from 2022, when has he been better than SGA the last 5 years, though? I'll give you the MVP at the Olympics, but when has he been better than SGA the last 5 years? SGA got 3 straight years of 30 points, 5 assists. Team had the best record, 68 win team. Regular season MVP, Western Conference MVP, and Finals MVP. So the guy is a triple crown in 1 year. What you want? And he has less. You want to get real controversial? Jay Williams, who was his sidekick, who's better out of him and Klay Thompson? You'll remember Klay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I throw Curry in there over Luka. Okay, I'll give you that. I don't play positions no more because we're in a position. No, he doesn't belong on that list. I'm sorry, he don't belong on that list. Not now. I'm going positionless. I'll do it. Oh, SGA, Jason Tatum, Giannis, Jokic, and Curry. That's my 5. I'm not. I'm going. He's not on there because his bubble ring and his run, he had more to work with than Curry, and he's not on there. So no. Best Hollywood married couple: Marilyn McCool and Billy Davis from Fifth Dimension. You forgot them. They've been married almost 60 years. Nobody saw SGA coming out winning like he did, and nobody was giving him love either. So stop, because they was hating on him. They wanted Jokic to be MVP. They clowned him. They downplayed him. No, he ain't the best small forward in the 2020s. He's not. Not now, he isn't. Because if he was, he'd have more to show for what he's got, and he's not touching these guys. He's 5 years removed from a chip, and he's not dominating no more. No, I'm not getting into all this. Now, listen, if you want to come on here and have a conversation, we can. I'm not going to have a LeBron marathon. Is he retiring? Did he announce his retirement? Because unless that's the case, I'm not doing no LeBron or telethon. You got to start your own for that, my brother. Because all this, no, I don't do that. I'm going positionless for the last 5 years, and he's not one of the 5 best players the last 5 years. So stop. We already said SGA, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, and I'll put Curry in there. Yeah, no, LeBron's not in that mix. First of all, if he has to get back in shape, is he a professional basketball player? Yes or no? So if your answer is yes, he don't get no cookie from me. He gets a gas face. But you want a cookie for what he's supposed to have already came into? I'm not entertaining LeBron James at this stage. Just like I'm not entertaining Kawhi Leonard at this stage. I'm not entertaining James Harden at this stage or Paul George, okay? We talking about cats in the last 5 years. I can put Curry's ring because I think it was more impressive that Golden State won than the Lakers because of the fact that no one saw Golden State coming out to win. And that's a fact. And LeBron did have Anthony Davis. I don't even like. I did a video about it and I clowned him because I'm like, what do you want? If Kobe was alive, he would clown you for even. But what are they doing? You come in the game three against the Minnesota Timberwolves, eating two double cheeseburgers, drinking all kinds of coke. You can't even move. Anthony Edwards just shakes you, and you're like, ooh. And you gotta. Your head coach says you need to be in shape because he says you was dead weight, and you want a cookie. You want some reward for that. That's what's wrong with this janky busted league now. I heard JJ Redick call him out for being fat and out of shape on the court in a playoff game, game three. You had won game two. You go to Minnesota. I ain't gonna say you win, but that was embarrassing to be in the fourth quarter and be chubby checkers. And your butt couldn't move. And you were parked, except there was no designated parking area. You just was too fat to get your behind out the way. And Ludacris was in the back of the door. Move, Luca. Get out the way. Move, Luca. So, no. It gets no respect for that foolishness. But again, I'm in a positionless era right now. I reluctantly didn't say him. He was league MVP. I was trying to dance around it because I can't stand the way he plays. He's just like him and James Harden and Luke are like the same person rolling the one. I'm tired of these models, these people that tease you. These cats is like them girls that you meet at a club who wink at you, give you all kinds of looks, and then when you go to talk to them, they freeze on you. Like they get into a glad bag. And I have a hard time with that. That's why I'm going positionless. Yeah, he belongs because he got a league MVP and his team got knocked out in the second round always, but he belonged. But I can't do it because I can't respect his half-heartedness the way he played. And I'm not alone. And he making the MVP award look like a joke. He cried and petitioned to get that. Can't stay healthy and don't want to play. Got tools to being a really great player, but is settling for just being good and mediocre. Dry like his afro. Former Bulls Center, they're gonna say it was rough playing with Jay when bad boys are booked about. Well, that comes with the territory. That's how it always is when you got a superstar. But it was true. But there is truth to that too because they didn't step up their game. He had to carry the load and take a pounding. Remember, this is a team that might score 85 points, and he had to be accountable for 46, 47 of them. So what you think? And nobody want to hear about Dave Corzine crying. Yeah, if we go by Devin Booker made a strong claim. They were embarrassing with post Jerry Sloan and when they got to that. Banchero's on his way. Kevin Durant, that was a neck and neck for a moment. Durant can do something in Houston, but that's not gonna happen. And Edwards is the now. That's true. Pascal, I can't say because he's still more of a sidekick player. He has moments, but he don't take over enough. Jaylen Brown, yeah, his run was impressive. So there's something there, but no one's talked about the positions, Yeah. No, 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 no. D Book is a second option. First option, but he played like a third. I'll give you that. Dick Clark. Dick Clark gonna beat most people. He was one of the most charismatic hosts I ever saw. In fact, when Carson Daly was hosting TRL in White World, and you were holding a microphone, you was trying to be Dick Clark because that they had the boyish looks. And Booker is a first option, but he play like a third because he folds up like a chair when you need him. I will give you that, um, Arnell, because the Rockets are missing that one thing. They missing that one thing. But they had that one thing. Oh, if you could go into the dig out a Dikembe type or somebody like that, they would come out. Especially with the way Udoka coaches. If you had anything, a better like a, I'm not talking about because they got rid of old Junior Whopper mean mugger, but I'm talking about somebody that could really, man the floor. If he didn't mean mug so much, that's the problem with Dylan Brooks, and he got himself in trouble. They got rid of him because they couldn't count on him. That's what that was. Yeah, I read that too. I did too. Because he turned into an hour game. I didn't like him in Washington, to be honest. He went and got Doug Collins and he tried to recuperate all these other people, and it just became like a shrine to, I didn't like him. No, he ain't. First of all, his problem is he tried to recapture that formula when he had in Golden State, which was the best situation he could have had. Because Curry covered his flaws as being a lead dog, but he was lethal. And he almost had the pinky toe away with Kyrie and Harden, but then it just fell apart. He can't stay healthy. And he can get, and Anthony Edwards runs through him like a skirt on the perimeter. So long as he don't get caught exposed in that regard, but he needs weak side help and what have you. Still can rebound. Still can put 25, 27 points up. His stats can still be decent. It's just that it ain't that level where you're scared of him no more. So, I mean, if the Rockets had if they get the consistency from the perimeter, did then I could say it could be a problem. But it's gonna be a work. Well, he's envious of him because Cube done had a career that Ari never had. You can say you don't like him, but to sit there and just, come on, Cube done had 40 years of music and 35 as an actor and TV, so no one's listening to what Ari's got to say. He beat him at his own game. Oh yeah, I mean injuries, um, and the durability is caught up with him, and he will pull an Achilles. I did something about George Carlin. It's been a while ago, and I remember how he said some kind of funny remarks about um, Doc Rivers, about him being an Afro American coach or something. He said Jordan always took heat. But this is the thing. I saw Dave Corzine play. I seen it firsthand. And no one's gonna listen to what Dave Corzine got to say. Yes, Jordan carried that team. The quote was about Horace Grant and Scotty's like, I gotta go bail their behinds out in the fourth quarter. He didn't say it like that, but that's what he's going. Because they didn't do nothing without him. Scoring wise. You up here watching these YouTube clips where they have morphed and manipulated Scottie Pippen as this all around Bulls player. But what about them times he didn't show up? Which is a lot. Yeah, and without him, what would they have been? Not much. They'd have been bridesmaids. He carried a load all right. There's a toilet nearby. Because you don't never want to tell somebody that your children is dumb. And people are smarter in different ways. Smarter in different ways. I don't pay that no mind. I just get so tired of bombarded with this Jordan LeBron comparisons. I'm like, there is no comparison. LeBron is he's not even barely in my top 10. And he doesn't even know how to utilize his all around game. It really ain't utilized. No, he won't. Because he old and the Clippers is old and banged up. It's like the old Grey Panther party. he was being kind. So if you're the fifth best player in the '90s and second with Jordan, what are you doing between 4 through 2 if you supposedly got an all around game? What are you doing? That don't make no sense. That doesn't even make sense to logic. Fifth best player, I guess he didn't see Shaquille O'Neal. I guess he didn't see. He said some mess. He said some mess. Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Stockton, Malone. I mean, no. Drexler. Yeah, there's too many people to name because I could be naming about before I get to Scotty. He's being kind. Listen, on the defensive side, I'll give you that. And when he was on his game, he had moments. But a lot of times, he wasn't that dude. Of course he did, because Elijah knew who the real deal was. Ain't nobody worried about a halftime Scottie Pippen or Horace no point scoring Grant. Shoot. Scottie is a very polarizing figure. And I always go back to the video that I've done, and I reiterate again. Had he beaten Shaq, led Lakers in '00, and beat Phil and beat Reggie and Larry in the finals, he's top 5 for life. But he didn't. And he's somewhere between 35 and 47 greatest player ever, which ain't bad, but it's a far cry for an all around game like you boast and brag that you got. He didn't get the job done. That's okay. He had more personality than Penny. I don't know if Dominique Wilkins makes a difference. I know his athleticism is better. I don't know if he makes a difference because we'd have to see how the tangibles are. And I'm going to explain something to you. As someone who watched the triangle offense and how Phil Jackson operates, just because you look at big name players and stuff, do not mean you could fit that triangle. It required a certain type of mental composure, and you had to add something, take something. So I don't know. I wouldn't say he got destroyed. How he get destroyed? Because he got dunked on? No, the Suns didn't step up as a team. Their defense was lapsed. Paul Westphal got out coached. Yeah. That's almost like saying if you give Shaq T Mac they three-peat. I don't know. I'll give you a ring. I don't know how you dominate. Because Dominique was a better overall player to me, but defensively Pippen fit into what Jordan wanted. See, I ain't never seen that had nothing to do with about Elijah. That's because he could score on the perimeter. But they didn't play no defense. Mario Elliott came back and lit their butt up. So that Sam, I am Marshmallow Head, looking like Brandy's uncle, Cassell, lit their butt up from the parking lot. And Kennedy Jet Smith did too. Make it accountable about Phoenix not playing no defense. Barkley was great. Drink champs. Because except they never ever get people to answer the right way. That's the only problem I have with drink champs. And now someone they be lying and capping. Joe Biden gets caught up in his feelings. He got a few podcast moments I like, but it don't really move me like drink champs do. Cooking in the paint, did they win though? No. And did they win? You can dunk on what you want. Ain't nobody. Why are you fixated talking about KJ because he dunked on a lot? Did they get to the finals? Last I checked, King got back to back chips. KJ was watching him eating potato chips. He did. Well, in the first couple years with Shaq, he came on. I know he didn't, but that don't mean that. Look, I'll say this: as great as Shaq was and Jordan was, you can win a ring with him. Does that mean you three-peat? Not necessarily. It means a difference. I know he's because of that dunk, and that's all he fixated is because of that dunk. He probably got a film projector John Starks dunk too. Um, and much ado about nothing. Think they gonna pretty much make him pay some money, but it's somebody he must have tapped. He gotten set up though. Somebody wants his mouth shut though. He need to shut up because he's an informant as it is, and somebody if they leave his behind somewhere stretched behind a dumpster, you know why. Listen, KJ was bad, but hey, who won the series? I like Rod Strickland better, by the way. Ryde just did it just didn't but I like Ryde better. But KJ was bad. But Cat's getting excited because of a dunk. You play long enough, you're gonna get dunked on. Derek Coleman dunked on Shaq, but does Derek Coleman get mentioned with Shaquille O'Neal? No. John Starks dunked on Jordan Pitt. Did he get mentioned with no, he's respected. He don't want to talk about who won the series. Who choked 3-1 series. Who's your point guard, who's the leader of the team? Because KJ had more clout than Barkley on that team. Maybe he did cut some tracks because Biggie was trying to go to Lance Rivera and get away from Pac. From Puffy. That was the plan. I hope not though, because Fat Joe sucks though. He a cornball. He okay for a hook or two, but it ain't worth. I don't sit around listen to him. Because the Suns collectively didn't finish. And if you want an education, you want me to get down, I'm gonna get down. They had Rick Dumas. They had Dumas and they had Oliver Miller and they had the Cats. They did not defend well. The Rockets bust their butt on the perimeter. Mario Ellie was kissing and honeymooning them threes up. They could not stop the Rockets guard. They could not stop Kenny Smith. They could not stop Sam Cassell. He wasn't the same player he was in Philly. Yeah, he got that MVP, but they had to go 7 games against the Sonics. They barely got to the finals that year. He was never quite that other dude. He had his biggest moment against Dave Robinson when he hit that one shot. Takashi. I would say Takashi. They had to come back against Portland and they had their little battles. They were still growing pains. There was growing pains for Kobe. He had to operate with Harp. He had to operate with Hanlon. There's a lot of pressure on him. He came up big, but there was a lot of pressure. But I'm not gonna sit here and have somebody try to act like they're gonna rewrite history when a guy got a dunk on somebody, but they didn't win the series. I don't know about that. I thought that Glenn Rice was big. I thought there was some motion with Derek Fisher. I think they hit some spots. I can't really say I would say um I can't really say they did certain things. I just think it was like a Portland didn't have anything to offset Kobe and Shaq with because they didn't have a go-to guy. Hello, Scottie Pippen. Because if you stepped up with Rasheed Wallace, yeah, versatile team that didn't get it done. But he didn't lead his team. And Kevin Johnson didn't lead his team. And I don't want to hear none that he was. See, when you run your mouth, be prepared for a comeback. Okay, you want to pop all these numbers up, right? Is he Isaiah Thomas worthy? No. I seen a small guard who led his team and got his team to a finals and did the thing. So no. And what's that supposed to mean? No, he didn't. He was not worthy of nothing in that first, except for that except for that game when Shaq got fired out in Indiana. He was coming into his own. He got better as time went on, but he wasn't a factor in that finals in the overall against the Pacers. Shaq pretty much. He did little things, but there was a collective effort. There was a collective effort. You know, people don't give AC Green his due in that finals. And I will give Horace Grant. He came up big. They was a 67 win team, but Glenn Rice. Because that's the only series that Shaq had a legit outside perimeter guy who could score. And they took that away. Jason Kidd, come on now. KJ was athletic, but Jason Kidd was better. Kobe just had a different mindset. Yeah, and how's Jamal Murray's career right about now? Where's that milk carton at? Where is that milk carton at? See, you want to nitpick, but you need to be consistent. And Jamal Murray ought to be ashamed of himself because he should be one of the 12 best players going today. He should be scratching top 7 or 8, but he ain't. And let's say when he plays against your Lakers, that's the only time he show up. Ironic. He wouldn't have done. He wouldn't have done. Listen, I hold my knocks against Kobe. What's up, Tom? How you doing? Welcome aboard. I have my disses against Kobe because Kobe, T Mac did lose. But T Mac already said that he didn't have the mental capacity that Kobe did. So the thing is that him and Yao Ming was saying they were going to be the next Shaq and Kobe. How'd that turn out? Can't even get out the first round. And the only time he got out first round was when he was rocking the bench for the Spurs when he was in year 28. He had that game where he was getting his Reggie Miller on. Stop excuses. Look, he didn't get it done. He came out and said we're going to be the next Shaq and Kobe. That's what he said. So that's his mouth. Prime or not, he didn't get it done. I'll say this about him. Scoring wise, he got a private home with Kobe for a moment. But the totality, and I do say that his defensive skills was good, but he didn't have the closer mindset. He just didn't. And he said it. And he never was the same after he played the Detroit Pistons and said, I'll see you in the second round, and then lost and choked that series away. So, look, I like T Mac a lot. I might even like T Mac more than I did Kobe. I might just don't like alone because the guy was something else. But he didn't finish. That didn't make no. He didn't lead. Well, the East wasn't that deep. You keep beating a dead horse. It wasn't that deep. Everybody had a chance in the East to come out, but Jason Kidd come to the Nets and made them better. So you're gonna tell me that Kenyon Martin, Richard Jeffersons, and Kittles were better than T Mac? Is what you're trying to tell me? You're gonna tell me that there's a big difference between T Mac and Allen Iverson? What you're gonna try to tell me? You're gonna tell me there's a big difference between Big Dog Robinson and them in Milwaukee? That's what you're gonna try to tell me. I know about what happened because Shaq was like Babe Ruth when they let him go. Shaq was bad in his peak in his prime, and that was embarrassing for what happened. But then when they got Powell and when they got Phil Jackson back, took a little while. Oh, when Shaq was Shaq, I would pretty much agree with you. We go from the window of 96 to 05, 06. But I do think that Kobe brought a lot of stuff on himself, and I will say that. They were. Because Phoenix was just soft. Athletically better than Detroit, but mentally soft in the cakes. And then Nash could never lead them over. So that's what that's why you gotta stop bragging about them Suns and their what I call soft cuddly guards. Pistons, because they took 7 games to the Spurs, and the Spurs were a better version of Phoenix. Pistons were in the Eastern Conference Finals. They camped out in the Eastern Conference Finals with the 2 straight finals. Phoenix never got to the finals. Pretty much. Pretty much. And that's a sad reality. Uh, the difference is that T Mac didn't deliver. He didn't same opportunities as it's a points that you got to bring. No one tore him down. Listen, I understand what Shaq was saying. I don't know if he win no 3 rings, but I'll say this about Shaquille O'Neal. In his peak, in his prime, you at least get 1 ring with him. I'll give you that. Because that's how great he was. So let me explain. When I say what I'm about to say, depends on who the coach is and the style. Because Chauncey Billups, when he had Larry Brown, same formula with Iverson, went to the finals, was a better player. Nash without D'Antoni, not so much. Got more regular skill set, but not so much. Yeah. I'll say this about your argument. He could have been better. Had he, I think Shaq's father, the Sergeant Philip, his stepfather, said it best. If he could see the court with his passing game, brought more people involved and didn't pout and mount, could have been. Because I think he missed opportunities. I think that he played hard and he was great, but he had those. I have to deduct for him. The reason why Kobe ain't high on my list is because I remember that 04 game against Sacramento when Phil Jackson read him the Ryde and he pouted. And then he pouted against Phoenix in that playoff game 2 years ago. I can't give him no top 3 or 4 or 5 rankings when a guy who almost acted like he was throwing Syracuse away. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video about that one time, right? I wouldn't call him no Daryl Dawkins because, first of all, he didn't play with no Dr. J type of talent. And he didn't have a starting situation. Dawkins, um, Dawkins didn't really aspire to elevate his game. Shaq did change his game. He was a different player with the right coaching, you know. No, we're gonna disagree about D Wade. D Wade's I hold D Wade in high regard. The worst dissing was DJ Quick against MC8 or Ice Cube against NWA. Sorry on this one time. Uh, D Wade's in my top 3 greatest 2 guards ever. So no. He approached it differently. Because he's doing everything to distract Tom, and that's what he's doing. No, Dwayne Wade no 6 proved that. Dwayne Wade no 4 proved that. He led that team to the second round with him when they had Lamar Odoms in them. He was a steal for Pat Riley. As a matter of fact, the Pistons could have probably would have been scary with Dwayne Wade. So I understand D Wade was the truth. The only thing against it was his injuries and the fact he didn't have a 3-ball shot. But he could play. He really could. I think Shaq would have been fine in the 70s. I think that it would have been had he had a certain coach, took the certain type of coach to understand the right philosophy. He took a no-name buster and got to the finals in Orlando. And that wasted about a couple years of his career. That's why he got out of LA, why he got out of Orlando. I feel the same way about him, Tom. I think Dwayne Wade is tied with Kobe. I've said this, they tied for second best because they both could do one thing or the other. I thought Kobe Ed was the better scorer. Dwayne Wade was the better defender. And Dwayne Wade, before Steph Curry, as far as being a superstar that you could play alongside of and compliment you and defer and keep an even keel and be humble, that was that dude. That's your personal opinion. We're going to disagree on that. We just going to disagree on that. I hold D Wade in high regard. He did on the court. He was a bruiser. He made you pay. And you could make the case for a moment he was equal to Kareem before the injury set in. He was something else in Portland. He was something else. Had outside shot, inside shot, could pass that thing, could defend. He was something else. Just injuries in his legs, and then he ended up going to Saudi Arabia, getting traded to the Clippers. Well, again, we're going to just have to respectfully disagree. I thought you were rocking the Aunt Your Mama over your eyes. I don't know who you is, Wes Craven, but, not quite. And no Benzino wasn't for all the Eminem thing and he sticks to the music and stays on the facts, I respect him. Anyway, I'm taking D Wade, so we ain't gonna never agree on that, but I'm taking D Wade. But one a few times we disagree, but that's okay though. I hold D Wade in high regards as a winner, as a champion, because he really understood the Pat Riley way, and he could hold his own, and he made LeBron into a better player. I agree. I was there to watch that, J. Will, and he was tearing Detroit's behind up. They had no answer for him. He was light on his feet. He could get that gallop with that left and take you to the hole. D Rowe, if that Thibodeau don't get that injury, messed him up. He was as great as any player that was going from 05 to about 09. Led the league in scoring. Had the same average as Steph Curry without even being a 3-point specialist. He did more than enough to be for me because he was consistent, because people were scared of him. Yep. I'm with you on that one. I agree with you, Jay Will, on that. Because to me, they mirror each other's career. They mirror each other's career. And Shaq was the common denominator. You give D Wade something to work with, you got results. You gave Kobe something to work with, you got results. When you didn't, first round casualty or worse. I co-signed that. They mirrored each other. They respected one another. I think Kobe just was a better volume scorer. But I don't think there was this grand windfall that there was so much that there was that better. Because Dwayne Wade came into the league, no one saw him being the way he was, just like no one saw Kobe being the way he was. And even Scottie Pippen said he used to tussle with going back and forth who was best out those two. So I will give that point. Are we talking about Magic Johnson? But you want to talk about Magic? Because I'll tell you like this. He's the baddest player to score 2 points or less and beat you in more ways than anybody in the top 10. No other player I've ever seen could touch what Magic could do. So you can take that however you want. He beat you in more ways than anybody I've ever seen. And that's where your boy LeBron ain't touching Magic. Because Magic could score 2 points and beat you with assists, rebounds, steals, blocks. LeBron couldn't do that. LeBron nor Curry. Let them go have a game where they don't score at least 10, 12 points and see what happens. Magic could do that. And before you start saying it was Kareem and all those others, I'd take him over Jordan. I don't think you just heard what I said. Ain't nobody could just score 2 points and beat you in more ways than him. Jordan has to score 22 points. He couldn't do what Magic Johnson did and win. None of them that I've seen could do what that guy's done. I could say that. I can say that. But I can't say he could do what Magic did at just scoring 2 points. Did you not hear what I said? See, that's the where Magic's got an edge over everybody. Yeah, he had a clunker. I'm not saying he wasn't. But when we talk about the all-time greatest players, yeah, you can have a bad finals. You can have bad moments. But who else do you know could score 2 points and could beat you rebounds, assists, steals, maybe a block shot, and fill up a stat sheet without having to score a lot of points? Who else do you know could do that that's considered an all-time great player? That's what I'm trying to say about Magic. Because Steph Curry can't do that. Kobe couldn't do that. Magic couldn't do that. Jordan couldn't do that. Shaq couldn't do that. Kareem, Duncan, Bird. I seen Magic do it. And I'm not saying that some guys will be better. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, people gonna have their biases. I mean, you know. I'm not saying that Magic didn't wasn't frustrating because I would have wondered what it'd been like if he had scored more points. I think we'd have been looking at him a whole different picture. And I'm going on the record and saying this. I will say Steph is the best point guard, but I say Magic was the better player. No, he didn't play all right. No, he didn't because that's where you're wrong. And I don't know how old you are. I remember that finals. Kareem was headed to being the MVP of that series before he got hurt. Okay, let me jump. Let me give one. They were Magic had that whole thing changed when Kevin McHale clothesline Rambus. That changed the mindset. It was a pretty close series. Dennis Johnson had a hand in it. Okay, Magic or Kareem, Shaq over. I ain't got no problem with that. Like Magic because we they were close. That's cool. Kareem was going to win the Finals MVP. He got hurt, and then Magic came and played a great game 6, finished it up, and he got it became popularity, and so it did become like a popularity contest. But Kareem was headed to be in the Finals MVP in '80, and Jamal Wilkes had a great game, but they didn't sell tickets like Magic did. But see, there's a touchy subject there. Well, I don't know about he didn't turn Kareem into Wilkin. People had positions back then. You can't use 2025 logic to 1980 times. It's different. Yeah, it was his style, but he had the right components in place. But he did sell a lifestyle at LA. And matter of fact, Dr. Bus, before he died, that's why he got Phil Jackson up out of there, because he brought D'Antoni in just for that. Kareem is arguably the GOAT. You can make a case. I'm not gonna argue that about what Shaq did. You know I'm a big Shaq fan. And Shaq was that he never gets his due. I co-sign. I think Shaq's top 5. I got Shaq high up, and I will because he's the last player they changed the game for, the rules, the last. And I've seen 3 guys in the last 40 years that you can make a case: Shaq, Jordan, and Curry. You can make a case for all 3 of those guys. Now I don't have Curry up with those 2, but he's as far as the changing of the guard of the way the game goes. Those 3. Yeah. We there's depends on what you're trying to debate. Depends on what you're trying to debate. Of course, I take Shaq over Kobe. I always did. I think Shaq had the better career. I know Kobe got the numbers and longevity, got one more ring, but I think Shaq at his apex, at his best, was better than Kobe. He moved me more. Eyeball test tells me Kobe could have been. No, I'm not saying that Shaq had teammates. I think the biggest thing with Shaq was that he wanted people to kind of roll over. and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, and it didn't work in Miami that way. But uh, you know, they both had their flaws. Okay. I just think that when you dominate, you impact your will. That's imposing your will, and Shaq did it, just like Jordan did it, and Curry done it, and that's all I said. I don't put him. I say as a teammate. I don't say he was a factor. It's the same. It's not the same because he never had a finals that I was that big about. If you must know, except for when he against Orlando, I never been impressed with Kobe in Money Time. He had a couple runs where he was, but I wouldn't say he was better. He got to one finals, and what happened? Um, they won their first game in overtime, but the Bulls had a better bench. It was a strange series, though. But listen, there's a big difference when you have a lot of defense playing center as opposed to Kareem. No, they weren't. They didn't have no business beating Portland to get to the finals. That still baffles me how that Portland lost that. I'm still baffled. AI played great that year. He played great. And Kobe was coming into his own. Magic was something else. Man was 9 finals in 12, 13 years of playing basketball. So I don't know. You tell me. And he lost 2 of those times in Western Conference Finals. So that means he spent pretty much all his whole career near a ring, near June. And that's why he stands out to me. That's the argument I can make for Magic. And he got it right. Who would I start with? Depends on who my coach is in the system. You'd be hard pressed not to go with Kareem though. But Magic moved me a whole lot. He came up big with a lot of little things, and of course they had Ori, and the guys who don't get no love is Derek Fisher and Rick Fox, who were huge, especially Rick Fox. He came with some big defense. Yeah. Well, being a leader on the front, but Kareem's shot was the golden shot, though. Well, let's not get it twisted. He had them on the perimeter, but don't act like Kareem couldn't hold his own. Kareem was a beast. It's a romantic story that the NBA powers that be, that David Stern likes to bespell, that Magic and Bird. They don't talk about Dr. J and the impact on the NBA. But Kareem was the dude. There's a reason why he's considered the greatest high school player and the greatest college basketball player, because he's a one of one. And he got the greatest shot ever. No one, that skyhook is the most lethal shot known. So, yeah, people don't want to give Kareem his due. When you can form your body, know you're going to get your shot off, and create and be clutch. Yes, they did. You did have guys that stat pad. You always had it because you knew there were teams that weren't going to win nothing. You always had stat pad. And that's the only difference between now and then is that um, it wasn't so commercialized because you knew you're gonna be a scrub and you're gonna be stuck with a garbage team. So like you get a guy like a Dave Kingman in baseball, he get paid to hit the moonshots and hit windows at Wrigley Field. No one said nothing. None of them, because they all had a place, and then they kind of came and went. I think that all guys have been guilty of, because you got to play for numbers. If you don't make numbers, you don't get paid. Then of course you win. I just think that we're in an era where more now it's more, because you always had guys who put up numbers. He wasn't better than Kareem though. He had a great college run. He had his NBA career didn't get to half the fruition, but in college you can make a case because it was the styling. Norm Nixon, the guys like with the Wilkes wasn't in that position, so it's not like you got a multiple positions forward, and Adrian Dantley wasn't missed a position. Nixon was a fixture on a couple of those championship teams. He got physical with him, but he wasn't a better player than him. He had his moments. Moses had his moments. They do forget. The problem is that Kareem was held to a standards of greatness. That's the difference. If you don't win, then it don't really matter because he was held in a no-win situation. If he don't win, he too big and too tall, so he had the advantage. And if he loses, he choked. He was in a no-win situation. But they had some legendary battles though. Moses got physical with Kareem, but very few people could get under Kareem's skin. And there's tapes of him going up against Patrick Ewing, Elijah Wan, and Ralph Sampson and just tearing in they behind at pushing 40. So come on now. And telling the man had the greatest unstoppable shot, and he had great footwork. He could shoot. He had good timing. Kareem had downtime, but again, he held his own. They had won the ring. Well, see, first of all, let's get something straight. Calvin Murphy was no scrub. He just played for the Rockets. And if Calvin Murphy almost played any other era forwardly, he'd be held even more accountable. And he is a Hall of Famer, last I checked. And he could shoot free throws. He could shoot different era, different time. You can have that. He didn't get his due. Start bench cut. I'm gonna start Shaq. And I have to bench Wilt. And I have to cut Kareem. Because Kareem's style, like Shaq is one of those guys who could do a little bit of both of those guys. He was speed, go to Orlando. And Walton was bad. Um, it should help, but people are just they're so judgmental that it hurts. They don't follow no protocol, and it shows. Tiny, because to lead the league in assists and scoring at the same time, and he had a 30-point plus average in 73 with no 3-point line. Calvin Murphy was bad, but Tiny Archibald, I mean, come on. When you scored 30 plus points and 9 dimes, that was crazy. He just had crappy butt teams. And that's the sad part about with Tiny. I know like Calvin Murphy a lot, but Tiny Archibald that 1 year, come on now. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I'd have to cut Kareem out of that because Shaq and Wilt were versatile. Yeah. What Tiny Archibald could do. He just didn't have the right situation. That's all. Sometimes cats, you put them in the right situation, and they look as great as anything you've ever seen. I'm starting Shaq because Shaq was a formation of both. When he was in Orlando, and when he went to Lakers and went to Miami, he had multiple runs. Benching Wilt Chamberlain because I can bring out the bench. See, because Kareem's style with those other two is two different types of techniques. And Shaq and Wilt, I can get a lot more out of from what I depending on what I'm doing. Did he not lead them to the finals? Did he not go to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals? Was he not a playoff fixture for an expansion team with a no-name coach that you couldn't name if I had $1 million in your face? Brian Hill, white-haired, wore tight black suits, and that's why Jerry West came and got him out of Orlando. I think he would have been good in the 70s. I think he would have been good. I think the right coach in the system, he would have been good. I don't see why he would have had a problem. Because I think if Wes Unseld, think about Shaquille O'Neal playing in that. I think he would have been all right. He altered his style 3 different times in his first 12 years, in case you forgot, with Orlando, Lakers, and Miami. And what did it do? 3 different trips to the finals. He was more speedster and light like Giannis in Orlando, bulked up in LA, and then became in between in Miami. He would have been all right. Yeah, he would have been fine. I have no doubt about it. Well, because he felt the pressure. And he probably felt like he was getting all the hype. Because Shaq loves the attention and the camera. Now, that's a fact. He's a diva. And he can be a bit much. And we already know. Yeah, World B. Free could score. World B. Free would have been James Harden if he played today. And he would have been able to score a lot. Different era. Different era. There's some cats that if they played today, you look at them completely different. That's just the era. Yeah, he was cool. He green light. And you had guys like him. Guys like him in downtown Fred Brown could shoot anywhere on the court. Different era though. Yeah. I didn't always say I agree with everything Shaq was about. And I know Shaq would always, because Shaq was always envious. As I said, like downtown Fred Brown. And you had cats that was shooting them the Meadowlark Lemon, Curly Neal, Steph Curry shots back then, before it was fashionable. Except you didn't do it in games until Steph made it fashionable. Yeah, no, everybody and their daddy got to shoot a logo 3. Wasn't the case, but I'm just saying. But you had to have incredible range. That's what made you an NBA player. You could make the case, but the way Portland manhandled him, though, I don't know. Because Maurice Lucas wasn't backing down, and they had something for that butt. So I don't know. And they didn't have the right pieces. I remember they had Henry Bibby, Mike Bibby's uncle. Jim Bibby, I know the. That's bullying. It's always been bullying. So obesity is judgmental because because they can't make up their mind, plus size, BBA, all that. But no, he wasn't. I with him all the way. He had a reason to call him out. And he looked down on him too, because he thought Jerry Buss was the only thing was up there partying on the sidelines and hanging with young girls, which was true. Jerry Buss was not a good role model for certain things. And he had every right to ask the man. He said, "Man, I'm putting butts in these seats. I'm selling jerseys. I've been MVP. I done this 3 times. How long did you have to wait? You never got a 3P with Magic and Kareem in them. I came and got you a 3P run. Went to 4 finals. Where that? I don't have no problem with that." Dawkins was athletic, but he didn't really. He was, like I said, he was more. I thought what he dunked, and he had names for his dunks, and he was entertaining, but he didn't have no. His game was not that deep, and he still was a bad boy. Kareem was a bad dude. Kareem took great care of himself and came correct. As far as what? Dwight Howard got him beat. Dawkins was a better dunker, but Dwight had a better game. I mean, that's not hard. That's not hard. I saw them both. I understand where TSP was trying to say Dawkins and Shaq as far as the entertainment value, but Shaq also could flat out play though. Um, I think in terms of styling, yes, because he gave them identity. He said Shaq's the captain. We're going to run through this. You have to have a great coach, systematic. Systematic. Systems, when you have teams, that's the only reason Jerry Reinsdorf tried to tell Dawkins that try to Jordan that organizations win titles. There's truth if you have everybody in place that knows what they're doing. Phil Jackson gave you a best possible fit because he could utilize talent and keep people in places. That's what great coaching does with your system. You got to have the right talent, but if you got someone who knows how to compartmentalize and put people in their places, you get results. Makes life a lot easier for you. Well, because they came with a one purpose mind and they got along. That's the difference. A lot of people subscribe to that, Charlene. I don't know. Yeah, they still do. There's some local papers. You're not going to hear that either, TSP. Because they weren't petty. They knew how to conduct themselves like a business. That's what happens when you're professional. Not when you're out here clout chasing and trying to say, look at me, look at me. And that's what you got a whole bunch of. You got a lot of them that there was a certain era where we had adults and then it went to the kids. And that's what you've been dealing with. That's why you got this sophomore behavior. I hate to say it, but it ended after the 80s because it's nothing but sophomore behavior with all that culture. Because everybody from Scottie Pippen onward to Kevin Durant and in between been saying, well, if we played with this, you know, they didn't talk like that back in the day. Oh, he was. He was. Not gonna say he wasn't. He could have been even 3 times better too. Skill set was off the charts. It just didn't take dominance, and he didn't push to the next. That's the fact. Skill set, yeah, but that mindset to destroy and dominate, no. That's a fact. Great player though, and you can put him with the best of the best. But Shaq had another gear. And when Shaq got it, he didn't let it go. What's happening? How you doing? Glad to see you. Well, it's called opinion. I mean, I'll say it like this. There's some points that are valid. I things I agree with you on. There's things I don't, but I can see the balance. I don't think Kobe was the end all. I had my knocks against him. Remember, I was watching the Lakers quite steadily then, and I was more team Shaq. But I will give where Kobe came up big. But Kobe got smarter and more enlightened. When he got Dwight Howard, he appreciated what he had with Shaq. 'Cause even with Paul Gasol, he was really driven. They both were driven off each other. That's alphas. But see, they talk the language that so few people can relate to. They won a bunch of rings together. That's not easy to do. Power is always the mind. Connections come with time. You smart, you got knowledge, you can grasp things. Yeah, rest Caitlin the rest of the way and on wait until you rocking with Kobe like that. Yeah, I talked this one page on this channel. That's what they call it. Okay. No one's tearing down Kobe. I'm not tearing. No one's gonna tear down Kobe. Um, there's pros and cons with everybody. He can be close to him, but he ain't close to him. So that's kind of like saying that you a twin, but you ain't a twin. I don't see it that way. I don't. I think he was great, strong, great player, but I thought he had a lot of flaws that Jordan wouldn't do. There's a lot of stuff that he see. My knocks on Kobe is this: he did quit on this team. He was funny time. He pouted. He mounted, and that works against him. That's a toughie for me because as much as I hold Shaq in high regard, that's a toughie. But I gotta say Bill Russell because they had that mindset to win. Oscar Robinson had a better overall game. Oscar Robinson had a better overall game. And I'm gonna be honest about that. He shot from Kobe lived in Hollywood, so he really played LA. He would shoot from corners and he did a lot he made it a lot more difficult, you know. He made a lot more. Oh yeah, that's true. TSP is 100 on that. They all better than LeBron. We not even. I'm not even. I wasn't even gonna mention that, but they are better though. I ain't got to go into that though. It's not crazy at all because Oscar Robinson was an all around force, and 26.7 do all that with no 3-point shot and hand check and physicality was mind blowing. Oscar Robinson was a bad dude. He was bad. And he was actually poised too. So he was a very poised player. But it's hard when you get into certain debates because it depends what you're looking for. The sun going extinct. We already got stuff out here that's invaded. And we look at the moon, but the sun going extinct would be scarier. Because he didn't put himself in a position to have the stat pad. He did what he was doing in totality. He never really, as much as he shot, and he shot the ball a lot, he never did it where it seemed like he was just, he did it within the balance of what he had as a team. I think I can appreciate that more. No, he didn't overdo it. You could make the case Kobe overdid it. You can make the case that quite a few of these cats overdo it. He didn't overdo it. You know, SGA is going to be, if he wins another championship, he will be getting that kind of acknowledgement because he is something to behold. I like his game a lot. And I ain't got no problem with the one made a comparison like that. I'm not even going to argue that. I like his game a lot. I think his best is yet to come. And as a matter of fact, if Chad Holmgren gets going, watch out. Most of them, pretty much all of them. I don't have no love for none of them really. He didn't have to because his game was more geared towards a 30-point game. He never really. He was always in cruise control. Cruise control player. Kawhi could stay healthy, we'd be talking about him right alongside the best of the best because he was bad. Pretty much. He's probably the closest thing to Jordan, if you want my honest opinion. He just can't stay healthy because he's got a strong upper body and he can score off his chest. He shoots that thing, he's strong, and he goes into another gear. He can't stay healthy. But if you ask me who reminded me of a Jordan type of the guys I've seen the last, he's the one. And maybe even more so than Kobe because he doesn't really ever try to overdo it. He's silent with what he do. 20, closer to 20, not top 10, but I will say one of the most underrated, underappreciated careers. Bird's gonna start. And unfortunately, because of how things are, I gotta go Bird, LeBron, and Kawhi. If Kawhi had been healthy, it'd have been Bird, Kawhi, and then LeBron. But because the injuries, gotta keep it real. I think if Kevin Durant had that kind of attitude, like I'm gonna go into another gear. Now he's close to the top 20. He no top 50. He better than that. You downplaying Dirk. Dirk had a big Dirk's upset of Miami alone. 2 finals appearances, league MVP, 20 plus years, one team. And he was a farm player back when they laughed when him and Robert tracked the trailer. Now I gotta defend Dirk. He's somewhere between the uh he's in the 20s. He belongs there. He ain't no he higher than 50. Shit, come on, man. I'd say anywhere from like I don't know 23 to about 33. He had a heck of an impact. I don't think you understand. I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan, and he got traded for tractor trailer. People laughed and snickered and said, "Who's this Dirk Nowitzki?" Can't even say his name. When his career was over, they changed. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start Dirk, bench Giannis, and I'm gonna have to cut KG. I think that Giannis's career is gonna surpass KG easily, and Dirk is a situation. I just don't think KG got everything out of it. I think he was a great career, but that's where I'm at. Joker's gonna get some help this year though, and Joker can get back, but he also got to make sure he don't. They got to play some defense. They need some pit bulls. Or they need the bench. So we're gonna find out. SGA got nothing to lose though. Unlike those others, no one is banking on him doing anything. That's the difference. Jokic and Jason Tatum were seen as gonna follow through, and they didn't do it. SGA is pretty much in the catbird seat because nobody expects him. I think he's gonna be dangerous. Yeah, I know that's not a popular opinion to say, but Giannis did enough to me where he merits. I still gotta give Dirk the edge, but KG, great player and all that, but sometimes I feel like something was missing, and I'm not the only one. Could have been even better. The problem with Kevin Durant, I think, in all honesty, he never really went crazy. Wish we would have had Jordan, Kobe, where I got to score 35, 40 points. Because if he ever did that, we never saw him go crazy. He's always been like in cruise control. Like if I gave him a nickname, it'd be cruise control. Because when he would go and state, he stayed 27 points, 28, which is a lot. But you wonder what would happen if he went to that 40 and beyond mark. And that's the thing that he is. I'm starting Penny. I got to bench Tim Hardaway and I got to cut Steve Francis because I got to go by the law of logic. Yeah, and then when they choked away that series against New York, that didn't help Tatum's case at all. And he never really matched what Jaylen Brown did with intensity. So he's not aggressive. And that's the thing. Because the cat probably could have averaged a 30, 35 if he'd have really put his mind and got physical with it. He just didn't. You know, he's like I said, he's cruise control. He one of those cats. He can do 27, 27, 8 in his sleep. But we'd like if you could get to 30, 35, you'd be scarier. But he won't do it. Well, the problem with KD and when he was in Brooklyn, he flat footed. So he likes to come off that curl on his right. Well, they didn't space because Kyrie and James Harden didn't give him enough spacing. So they caught him. No. He was cruise control. Did you see when he pulled up against LeBron in game 3